Welcome to another episode of the J-Card podcast. Today's guest is the wonderful Justin MacFayden, who is the brains behind Hope You Like It. Hope You Like It is a documentary series that is focused on the lives and stories of working artists who Justin comes across. We talked about a lot of really fun stuff in this conversation. One thing that I really enjoyed was Justin talking about how Hope You Like It is basically an ethnomusicology project. I thought that was really cool. I never approached it that way. I was like, whoa, I thought this was just documentaries. But yeah, he does incredible work, and you're going to hear more about it. We're also going to get into his mixtape, which features a lot of surprisingly injured artists, tragically hurt in accidents. But again, we'll get into that. And then at the end of the show, we play a little game called Build the Bill, where we're going to be building a bill of artists to play a show, and we only have a limited budget to do so. I don't know. You'll see more about that. As always, if you want to support us, go to tapeclub.substack.com, and then you can become a paid subscriber, $5 a month. This show is all listener supported, and it's all DIY, so any money you put into the show goes right back into the show. Helps us pay for stuff like hosting and making this show, and even making more cassettes. We'd love to make more cassettes than 4 a year. So hopefully you can support us. Enjoy this episode with Justin MacFayden. We have Justin MacFayden here, filmmaker and founder of Hope You Like It. Justin, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm pumped to have you. You and I met a few years ago at a film festival in Minnesota, I believe, and you were there with Hope You Like It, right?
Yeah. In Minneapolis, the film festival is called Sound Unseen, and it's, as far as I know, the only film festival that exclusively screens movies about music, which is very cool to me.
It was great. It was awesome. That was the year they showed the Cyndi Lauper documentary, which was so fucking good, dude. I was like taken aback because I was like, I guess I'll watch it. And I sat in, I watched it. I was like, oh my God, that was like one of my favorite movies I saw this year. You know?
Yeah.
It made me a certified Cyndi stan. You know?
Yeah, no, they had dance parties, and yeah, they were so hospitable too. I mean, I think you were in the same boat. We spent most of our time with the organizers, the programmers for the festival, and they were just so sweet, and kind of showed us around Minnesota, which is Minneapolis is a hip city. I was not expecting it to have like cool ass dive bars and
CC,
cool
right?
Bowling alleys and stuff.
CC Club, I think, was or something like that. That was a cool place. I like that spot.
Yeah. It's a hip town.
The thing with those film festivals is like, I don't know. This is so fucked up, but like, I don't really want to watch. I don't want to watch the movies, bro. I just want to hang out with the people. I'm sorry.
No, it's a social event. It's more about socializing than because I went to Sundance. I didn't get into Sundance. I just wanted to go, so I was there in was it January or February, whenever Sundance was this year, and I think I saw 2 films. I was there for like 4 days, but I went to that's all days, just events and parties and schmoozing and getting free booze and hanging out. So yeah. I think that's mostly what film festivals pretty much are.
Yeah, well, because it's like I don't want to go here and then sit in the dark in silence for like 7 hours a day. Fuck that. I'd rather go drink and chill and learn about why these people made these movies, or like
yeah, exactly. I met so many awesome filmmakers, and then I would watch their stuff later, and that was that was just as good as seeing it. So
we like to start every episode with one question right here called, the question is, what's stuck in your head? I'm trying to make a name for the segment, so if you have any ideas, let me know, because what's stuck in your head is so clunky. But what has been stuck in your head lately?
Yeah, I'll think. I'll email you. I'll brainstorm some names.
Give me some names.
Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, right now, the song that's been stuck in my head, and I've been trying to change it before we had this interview, but do you know this song that's like all over the internet right now, this Brandon Abernathy kid's song, Song of the Summer? So I'll be gone in 3 years in the summer. I don't even know the song. I haven't listened to it on purpose.
It's like a country song. I just Googled him, and he's holding a guitar, so...
Yes, well, I don't know. It's like folk music. It's like Gen Z folk music, I guess. But he got kind of lambasted by the internet because his singing style was very like I guess Lumineers kind of hey ho vest, beard guy kind of stuff.
Stomp and clap.
Stomp, clap, hey kind of thing. And so the internet turned on him real quick, and he was all over. And I think like Anthony Fantano was like, oh, this guy's just a bag of garbage. And then the internet's kind of come around to be like, I mean, maybe it's not for you, but he's not like the worst guy in the world who's making music. And again, I don't even like the song, but I think the thing about Earworms, right, is it's more about repetition than it is necessarily the quality of the song. It's like, how many times have you heard it? And my algorithm is all just music stuff. So I've heard this song like probably 30, at least the section that's gone viral. I've heard it like 30, 40 times in the past couple weeks. So, I should probably listen to the full thing or some of his other music, but I don't even like it that much. It's stuck in my head. I'm humming it around the house,
I think that's exactly the point of this segment is like, it's not like, give me a cool song,
Yeah.
It's like literally what was in your head when you woke up today and you're like, motherfucker, like, it doesn't always have to be good.
It's just, and again, God bless this guy, Brandon Abernathy. It's not for me, but I can't stop humming it in my head.
Yeah, there you go. For me, it was a song called Anything Anything by a band called Drama Rama, who are you ever heard of them?
I don't think so. It sounds familiar, but I'm trying to,
So they were an 80s band from New Jersey, and I only heard that song on Sirius XM. I listen to like the new wave station, and sometimes they'll play that one. And it's so fucking catchy. But then I just read about it, and it was in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which had
classic.
Dude, a lot. Blondie's music was in it. Billy Idol's music was in it. It like surprisingly had like a lot of.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, but surprisingly, I had no idea. But the lead singer wrote this tune about a breakup and about his ex-wife, and then he was quoted in some publication as saying, "Couples often tell me it's their song, and I'm flattered by that, and that they feel the emotion and passion of that, but I'm always reluctant to mention that it is essentially an ode to a bitter breakup." And I was just like, man, that... I feel like I've heard that before about a lot of songs, like Sting, that whatever that Sting song is, where it's like, I'll be watching
anywhere you go, or yeah. But yeah, you're like, no, and that's on the nose, pretty stalkery. You know what I mean? Like when you listen,
exactly.
You're like, oh yeah, Sting, I know what you're up to.
Yeah,
this
Sting.
is terrible. Yeah, or don't. What is that? Don't step so close. Don't walk.
Yeah, don't stand so close to me.
Close to me. That's like teachers and students.
Yep.
It's like, oh, Sting, you dirty dog.
So. This song, Anything Anything, apparently got so big that it inspired the band to move to LA. So, like, they were like, you know what, the song's blowing up, now's our chance, let's go. And they went. Yeah. And actually, according to what I was reading, this tune, Anything Anything, is one of the most requested songs in the history of K-Rock. Isn't that crazy? It's like, what the fuck?
That's blowing my mind. Yeah, I'll have to listen to. I probably heard it if it's all over the radio. But do they have any other hits? Were they kind of a one and done?
I think they're probably a one and done from what I can tell. But like, I hate saying that about bands because it's like their career went from like 82 to 94, so they worked for fucking 12 years. But like,
and the B-sides are really where the magic happens anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Having a hit is whatever, but like usually when you get to the other songs on the record, like, okay, there's actually substance.
If you can,
here,
you get into the deep cuts and you actually learn about what the band was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that song, Anything Anything, is the earworm track. That's what, because I'm like you in this regard with the tune that we've each picked today. This is a cool song and I like it, but I'm not like dying to hear it all the time. But guess what? When I woke up this morning, it was in my head and I was like, oh fuck, all right, well, that's the one, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing like you should seek it out. Like if it's in your head, there's something in the universe telling you got to go listen to this band or go listen to this song.
100%.
Like dreams. If you hear a song in your dream, you got to go do something with it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what inspired the segment. Is that I literally every single day when I wake up have a song stuck in my head. So is
it always different, or do you ever have like 4 or 5 days in a row where you're just stuck with one song?
Yeah. There's days when it'll stick, but
it's
like
torturing you,
yeah, and then there's also sometimes like just triggers that trigger a song where like there's a band, my friend's in a band called Help, and I have a shirt that says Help on it, and every time I pull that damn shirt out of my dresser, in my head I'm like, help, I need somebody. And it's like, and there you go. And the Beatles are stuck in my head. And that band Help is like a fucking punk band, like crazy. Like they burned an American flag at a fucking show once. You know what I mean? But here I am getting the Beatles stuck in my head. So
I will say, like, I love like death metal. I was just at a festival. It's like Cannibal Corpse and stuff, but I seldom wake up like with a Cannibal Corpse song stuck in my head. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not just repetition. There's something else to the earworm thing, you know, because I'm not grunting when I wake up like, oh, this grunting was so melodically, sticking with me.
I don't have that sort of energy in the morning. I'm not like trying to start shit.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, let's get into Hope You Like It a little bit, and you can tell me a little bit about your filmmaking journey. So for anyone who is unaware, Hope You Like It is a documentary series that's focused on the lives and stories of working artists who you come across. First of all, how did you even get into making this stuff? Because your day job isn't documentary filmmaking, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I did make a living with art as a teenager in my early 20s. I did music. I was working in recording studios as a sound engineer. I did live sound and like roadieing and basically anything I could do to make money. And then I wanted to get a conventional job or whatever, so I went to law school, and that's kind of what I do now. I do law stuff during the day, and then in my off hours, I do film. And I guess how the Hope You Like It stuff came about, it's about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was really into like Alan Lomax and these like early field recordings of musicians that like were undiscovered and stuff. And I guess it's this field of musicology called ethnomusicology, where you basically just try to learn about a place or a group of people through their music. And I just thought that was really beautiful and interesting. And I thought, well, that's Alan Lomax isn't really doing stuff anymore. I think he's passed away a long time ago, but his family still is, and I just thought, oh, that would be like a great way to spend my time, like I love those recordings so much, and I know that there's still musicians, even though recording equipment's kind of ubiquitous. I know that there's musicians out there that maybe don't know how to record or don't have access to a recording studio, and so I thought, oh, maybe what I could do is I could just kind of, like Alan and John Lomax did, kind of roam the land looking for these sort of undiscovered artists. And through that, I kind of discovered a passion for filmmaking. Like, I had never touched a camera in my life. Like, I come from music, and it was just not anything I really knew about. So, but it's also, it's 2022 or whatever, and you can learn anything online. So I just watched all these YouTube videos about filmmaking and would spend my off hours trying to learn it, and started producing the show. And it's been one of the most creatively satisfying things I've ever done in my life. Because it combines like everything I love, which is like talking to musicians and finding out about what they love and what they care about. And the show is about music, but it's also about like mortality and like what fame means. And there's all these other themes where, my goal is to get you into that person's music through their life or through storytelling that's not about music, right? Because I think if you like who somebody is, you'll be more receptive to their music. You'll be more open to like checking out what they do art-wise, And so it's, I use their music to kind of score each one of the episodes and try to include as much as I can that fits the vibe or whatever. But I think I've got 9 episodes up now, and we've got one more for the second season that I'm putting out, and then.
What is your process? What's your process like for finding the subjects? Like you said, there's so many fucking people who make music or play music who are totally undiscovered. How do you decide who you're gonna follow and make these things about?
Usually it starts with the location, because I like to have something to film, in terms of like the setting. I've done an episode where it's just a guy in his living room, which was a challenge, but it was, it was a lot of fun. I think it was the first episode I ever did on my own without any other filmmaking friends helping me out. But, basically, I mean, Google's a big part of it, but like, I'm from Seattle originally. So like I was going to go up to Seattle for a week or two to visit my folks. And I thought it would be cool to, look up some local musicians out there. And so like I looked up an artist who plays like the farmers markets up there, and she's like on a respirator, but she has this amazing voice that's like it just baffles you, like how does she sing that good even though she struggles breathing. And
that's Sherry Roberts Grimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then of course it's reaching out to these people, and like most people say no. Most people are like, I don't want to be on camera, or I don't know you, I don't understand what you're doing, so it's also people that just say yes and agree to it.
That's interesting that they say no. Like they're not like, oh cool, like the YouTube channel's cool, like or is it just maybe these people are more old school and they're like reclusive to begin with?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I think a lot of musicians, especially if they're undiscovered in the age of the internet or in the age of ubiquitous recording equipment, it's like they've been hiding. They must have been, like I got this guy who he's actually the first artist that I've been able to work with that actually didn't have any albums out or really recorded music that I know of. And he sings for the Compline Choir in Seattle, and he's like Ken Peterson's his name, and he's 80-something years old, and sings in this church choir out in Seattle, and so like that like he was just like, he doesn't use email, so he was like hard. He was really hard. It's hard to book those ones, but also like it's like a Pokemon thing where the rarity of the artist makes them more valuable, right? Like. I had to really kind of bust my butt to put this together. So, and so it's more satisfying, I guess, right? Like they're less accessible, and you're going to be less inclined to hear about them from anyone else other than me. And so, much like this show, like you're doing, like you want to turn people on to new music. And I think that's what I love about the show too. It's like, you've probably never heard about this person, but watch this episode, learn about who they are, and you might hear some cool music that you've never heard before.
I think, I agree with you. It's not even about new music in the sense of like, the music has to be from this year or whatever. It's about music that's new to you, because, you brought it up earlier, right? With finding these folks who are undiscovered. A lot of the stuff that I find, I don't even want to say I find it, because it's just sourced to me really easily. But there's, organizations like Numero Group who go out and dig and dig and dig and find these old recordings from like the 70s that were released one time somewhere, and there's a bunch of dusty 7-inches, and they find one and they're like, whoa, this is cool. Let's compile these and release like a compilation of music specifically from like Albuquerque in the 70s. And suddenly you're like, whoa, there was people making really good shit. So I feel like you're kind of on that same wave, like as Numero Group, it's
that would be a dream job to me, just dig through dusty old 45s and like find, like that's, I love that kind of thing. And this is just the filmmaking version of that, right? Just trying to do music preservation in a sense, but like packaging it as a story and that kind of thing. And I have no ambitions as a professional filmmaker. I really like keeping like art and money separate. For me, it's like, it just really works for me, because I'm not somebody who can like do film all day as a living, and then at the end of the day work on my own stuff. I'd be exhausted. I would, like I need to have some of that pent up artistic energy to release at the end of the day or whatever.
I'm kind of the same way, where like for my music stuff and like my passion projects, really my music stuff is where like I like to get creative and control that and do my art, right? But for work, I do film. Like that's, and I make a very, very concerted effort to not take gigs that are too creative, because I don't want to spend my energy on that shit. Like the worst thing that I could get is if a potential client would come to me and be like, hey, we have this gig where you can make this video, but you can be as creative as you want, and da 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 da. I'm usually like, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I'd rather like film two CEOs talking to each other. That's so much easier, like, let me just do that
it's
shit.
mechanical. You can get through it, you might learn a thing or two about your craft, and you might be able to bring that back to your music later on, but ultimately it's
totally.
you need to have that energy at the end of the day to put into your own stuff. And because again, like I said, I worked in music, and that's what happened is I was doing music stuff all day long. I'm in a recording studio for 9 hours recording somebody's stuff, voiceovers or whatever it is, and like the last thing I want to do at the end of the day is open up a DAW and start recording stuff, and that's like I need to bifurcate that. So I have my nice, decent paying corporate-ish job, and happy to do that, and then do film stuff on the side.
And the only way that doing your art for your main thing works is when you have full control and nobody can tell you go do it again, like if they're like, go redo it, I didn't like this part, that's like, well, that sucks because I wanted this to be mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, too late, it's recorded, we're not touching it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about this podcast. Like, this is like a video thing, I guess, but like I get to do whatever I want, so it's fucking great. And dude, over the last decade plus how many times I've pitched shit to fucking people and it's just not gone, like it never goes. So
art is a sea of no's. That's what I've learned, and even with this, like, it's just a passion project, but I'm my promise to the artists that I feature is like, I'm going to promote you, and like it's publications saying that they don't want to publish anything about me or the artist, or it's film festivals saying no. It's like, you kind of got to, I guess, build a thick skin about that, where it's like
water off a duck's back, as they say.
Yes, yeah.
So the current season so far of Hope You Like It, while we're recording this, you've got Joe Walla, you've got Sherry Roberts Grimes, who we've mentioned, Ken Peterson, who we've mentioned, and Kevin Keith. Those are the ones that are out so far. The Kevin Keith one is my favorite of the bunch. Like, that
really?
one was, I like that one a lot. I thought it was really touching. Plus I think I like his approach to music a lot, and I think that's really, the stick is like such a unique instrument, but also just generally, I don't know, I found it really touching, his story, so I like that one a lot. Last question awesome. For this segment that I'll leave you with, is there any specific episode that you've made over these 2 seasons that has really stuck with you, or like just one that, or any moment really that you've experienced while making Hope You Like It that you've been like, damn, yes, this is why I make this shit?
There's so many, but if I had to like narrow it down, the one episode that's not released yet that I'm still working on is about a family band out in West Virginia. They're called Bicycle, and if you look up Bicycle the band, you can find them on Instagram. They're like kind of popular, I guess, like Instagram popular, because their dad dresses up as a Sasquatch and like an alien. He does all this green screen stuff, and it's very like visually interesting. But they, I knew that I wanted to do an episode about them when they agreed to it. They actually let me like sleep on their couch out in their like farm in West Virginia for a week, and I just followed them around, recording them and getting their stories. And it was the first time I'd ever been to West Virginia, and just blew my mind. Like the people there were so sweet and so kind, and like that's a state that I think gets a bad rep, and undeservedly. Or maybe parts of it are terrible, but I had great hosts, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences I'd ever had, and they're really hardworking. I mean, they I think in the 4 or 5 days that I stayed with them, I think they did just as many shows. Sometimes they were doing 2 shows a day, and it's, I mean, they have no roadies or anything, right? They're packing up their stuff in the family van. They all pile in and driving all around West Virginia, and and it's just like, this is what it's about, right? It's about doing art even if nobody's watching or nobody cares, because what's interesting about them is they have this huge following online, 100-something thousand people following them, but their local shows, because people don't know about them locally, are like 7 or 8 people in a bar. And you meet somebody at the bar that's like, oh yeah, I've heard about them online, but that's just,
that's so crazy. That's such a like mind fuck to think of it that way, where, because I don't know, you would just for the greater part of human history, it's always been the other way, where it's like maybe people in your town know you and no one else does. And this is like, no, everyone else does, no one in the town does.
Exactly, so the locals don't really know about Bicycle yet, but they're going to find out.
Is the Bicycle one going to be part of season 2, or is that a
that'll be sort of the last. Okay. I'm trying to do 5 episodes a season. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a way to kind of keep things organized in my mind, because I sort of bifurcate the processes. I'll go shoot them all, and I'll edit them all, and then release them all. And so this is just sort of the last one of season 2 that I'm editing. And then I've got some other kind of passion project stuff I'm going to work on for a while before I start thinking about a season 3. It's exhausting. I'm a one-man band, so this is like making these is incredibly hard and time-consuming. But like I said, it's just very satisfying.
I've got a season 3 pitch for you, but I'll pitch you after we're done with this.
All right, off mic. Yeah, let's do
off
it.
mic.
I'm always down. Any artist you think of, like
by the time this posts, the Bicycle episode should be up. So go find it on the Hope You Like It YouTube channel. There'll be links in the show description and stuff. You'll figure it out. If you're this far into the fucking episode, you're gonna figure it out. Don't worry about it. Okay, Amen. Let's take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're gonna go through your mixtape. Okay, we're back, and this is really the meat of the show, where we go through the mixtape that Justin put together. Justin, I'm looking at this mixtape right here, and there is a pretty common through line, but there is also a lot of variety. So any quick overview words about this mixtape before we dive into the first track?
Yeah, I think we're roughly the same age, so I definitely came up making not so much mixtapes, but mixed CDs for people. It was like a free gift, It's like, oh, it's your birthday, I'm gonna burn you something. But it was also hyper personal, like, because like you'd put a lot of thought into it and the sequence of the songs and what songs you'd put on there. And of course, I had been the recipient of many a mixed CD in my life, so it's been a long time since I've thought about doing this, making like a CD length thing for somebody. So my first thought was like, I like a lot of wild music. I love my death metal and cumbias and like Bollywood, old Bollywood music. And I was like, maybe I make just a chaos playlist. So that was my first idea. I'd just be like, I'm just going to just throw a hodgepodge of like what I think are good songs, but that makes no sense as a cohesive playlist. And then I thought, no, if I was like really gonna try to make a mixtape or a mix CD for somebody, like what would I put on it at this point in my life, and the things that I really like and like to talk about and have good memories about and that kind of stuff.
And so, that's how you landed on our current rundown.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So this is music that I love, but I love bummer jams. That's what I like. It's just kind of sad music. And I think like the virtues of melancholy, like I think it's good. It's okay to have a bad time and to like sad music, I guess. So I guess that would be the theme of this.
I think I agree with you on that. I think the songs that have lyrical content, which is a bit more serious like that, but for me, when they're upbeat and they're major, I love that sort of juxtaposition. Or They don't even have to necessarily be major, just as long as they're like maybe a slightly higher tempo, like approaching like 120 plus, stuff like that. There's this band that I discovered recently who were around in the 80s called Micro Disney, and like, holy shit, dude, they're like they've quickly become one of my favorite bands of all time. But they do that a lot, where the writing is just like devastating, but like the songs are like, they're upbeat, they're cool, So, but that's a story for another time. We can
on Rough Trade, very cool. Out from Cork, this is cool,
bro. Yes, dude, that is, dig into them. They are so crazy, really, really cool band. Okay, you started your mixtape off with a song by Morphine called Candy. So tell me a little bit about that tune. What made you pick it?
Well, Morphine is definitely one of my, top 10, maybe top 5 favorite bands in the world. And I think I'd have a hard time making any tape or playlist without adding a Morphine song. I just think what they do instrument wise. So for those that don't know, Morphine's a 3-piece. They've got a bass player / singer, a guy named Mark Sandman. He plays a 2-string bass, with a slide, and then they've got a saxophone player and a drummer, a Barry saxophone player and a drummer, and they even sometimes you can find videos of this. Their saxophone, he'd play two Barry saxes at the same time, which was it's a crazy thing to watch a guy play two saxes at the same time. But and then of course the 2-string bass too. You know, for any bass players, it's a wild thing. They're kind of got this weird tuning, and he uses the slide on them. And then I guess what's really impressive about them to me is if you've ever worked in a DAW or trying to mix something, like a mix can get muddy really quick. And especially if you've got a singer who's got a deep voice, you've got a bass, and then a Barry sax, like that's the whole band. It's just all low end, and you would expect it to be just like not sound good, basically, or at least really have to wrestle with the mix to make it work. And they've got a bunch of albums. I think they're all great songwriters, and I just have a ton of love for Morphine. Mark Sandman, actually, their lead singer, he died on stage in Italy in 1999. But yeah, it's crazy.
I've heard their name before, and I've never, not once, have I like actually gone and read about them or anything. So I'm just like looking at it right now. Yeah, I just saw the died of a heart attack on stage thing. I didn't know there was a 2-stringed bass involved. Like, this is very cool.
Definitely look up some live videos of them. Some really cool stuff floating around. They're from Boston, I believe. So they're they aren't necessarily from a scene. I think like genre-wise, they're called low rock. I think I've never used that term. I think that's for record store guys or something. But it's just a really fantastic band and a huge discography of like really creative and awesome music. And this song, I guess, particularly is like it has a very like could have been a radio hit or kind of poppy, as you kind of mentioned, has this sort of somewhere between melancholy and happiness, you know, and I think straddles that line, and a lot of their music does that, I think, really well.
Hell yeah. All right, well, let's hear a little bit of it. Here is Candy by Morphine.
Candy says she wants me with her down in Candyland.
Next up, you have a tune called Catfish and Cornbread by, I'm going to say CeDell Davis. CeDell, I don't know how to say it.
That's how I say it. CeDell Davis is how I think that's how I've heard him referred to.
This tune, when it started, reminded me of When the Levee Breaks.
Yes, the drums. When the drums come in. Yeah, exactly.
So tell me a bit about this tune and about this artist.
So CeDell Davis is one of these guys that like I wish I could have found through Hope You Like It. Like he's one of these guys that played for years and years out in the Delta, Mississippi Delta, and when he was a kid, he lost the use of he got polio and lost the use of his left hand, and so he picked up a butter knife and plays guitar with a butter knife. And when if you didn't know that, it might just sound like slightly kind of sloppy, kind of drunken style playing, but I just think it sounds awesome. Like the sound of a guy mashing a butter knife against a guitar is really cool. And then of course he's got this, gravelly Mississippi Delta blues kind of voice. So that butter knife thing is like, that was constant throughout his career. That is like how he played. There's no recording of him. I mean, because he was a kid when he lost the use of his hand, and what he basically did is flipped a guitar around. So when you see him play, and there's actually a great documentary about him on YouTube. If you just search CeDell Davis documentary, it was recorded in, I think, the early to mid '80s, and shows him kind of talking about what happened. He was in a wheelchair too, because I think he was hit by a car at some point. So he just had this crazy difficult life, and plays this guitar that's basically upside down, so that the high E's closest to his face and the low E's closest to the floor, and then he plays this butter knife. He just kind of slides up and down, and it sounds good. Like it really works. And this song in particular just rocks. This is he was touring and recording into his 80s, I think, and this is one of those later recordings when he's up there in years, and you can tell, and they got a full band and stuff. So his earlier stuff is just him and a guitar, but definitely worth checking out if you're into blues music at all.
The butter knife thing is insane, and I will say, I do a little bit of research before this, not that much, but a little, and this CeDell Davis track is going to kick off your run of injuries. There's 3 injured artists in a row, but let's hear this one. Here is a little bit of Catfish and Cornbread by CeDell Davis.
I wish was a catfish swimming in down.
Next up, you have another injured artist, Blaze Foley, with the song called I Should Have Been Home. Blaze Foley, I read, you tell me if this is right, had polio.
Gosh, I think that's true. Yeah, actually he did. Because when you said 3, I was like, oh, he was shot. I know that he was killed in a fight, but yeah, he did. He walked with a limp. And did have polio. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I do have a theme.
You got these injured guys on here. Yeah, this is like the IR of the playlists. So tell me a bit about I Should Have Been Home, and also maybe just about Blaze Foley in general. Seems like he had a wild life. They called him the Duct Tape Messiah, according to Wikipedia. I don't know.
The Duct Tape Messiah or the Duct Tape Cowboy, because there's the Rhinestone Cowboy, and he was one of these kind of folk guys. So he was a songwriter who kind of was part of this Austin scene. If you ever listen to a guy named Townes Van Zandt, he's sort of probably the biggest member of that sort of musical group. Both of them make really great country music, a lot of great bummer jams, but a lot of upbeat stuff too. And I think there's a biopic about Blaze Foley that Ethan Hawke directed that's really good. I saw that. And it actually, like, if you know any of the Blaze Foley lore, they kind of shoehorn in all the stuff that he used to like. He was a drunk, but and so he would kind of get into some fights and stuff from the stage, and there's some live recordings of his that you can listen to where he's telling jokes and just a really, really funny guy. But yeah, had a pretty short career, but was, I think, kind of discovered, I guess, after he passed. And a lot of people, would talk about him and try to clean up the recordings that he had. And I guess there's a story about, and I don't know, this might be apocryphal or untrue in some way, but Townes Van Zandt, I think, gave Blaze Foley a guitar or something, and Blaze Foley pawned it and had the pawn shop ticket in his jacket pocket when he was buried. And some of the lore says that Townes Van Zandt went and dug his friend up and grabbed the pawn shop ticket and went to go get his guitar. So I don't know if it's true, but they were all drinkers. I mean, Townes Van Zandt was also famously he liked heroin a lot too, but he was a drinking man.
The thing, I mean, they're the outlaws, that was their whole thing, right? But I don't blame them for trying to get that pawn ticket back. And the thing, here's how I look at it: is I bet if you told Blaze that happened, he wouldn't have cared. He would be like, yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah, get the ticket.
For sure. Get the guitar. I mean, the guitar's, you got it. What are you going to rebuy the guitar? You already paid
Can't
for
do
it.
it. Can't do it. And also there's sentimental value there. Let's listen to a little bit of it. This is I Should Have Been Home by Blaze Foley.
Spinning my head was ajar, and I should have been home with you. Saw a reeling old drunk man dancing around. Thought his grave was...
Next tune up, rounding out our trio of injured folks, is After You're Gone by Django Reinhardt. After You're Gone is a jazz standard, so this is Django Reinhardt's version of it. And Django Reinhardt famously got caught in a bad fire where he lost the ability to walk, maybe, or something like that, or something.
His fingers, his
fingers,
his fretting fingers, which is, I mean, I think he got his thumb and I think these two, so he could, he could hold the back of the neck and then would play with 2 fingers. And listening to him, you can't tell, I mean, especially this song, it's fast. It's got, to me, it's like proto-punk music. I mean, this is like, it's plays on the up, and it's got this really kind of like sound to it, and yeah, I don't know. It's just it makes me want to like mosh in a way that most music, most gypsy jazz from the late 40s doesn't really make me feel. And the fact that Django Reinhardt's able to do that with two fingers sounds like he's got 8, on that one hand. He's just jumping around the fretboard.
It's an interesting line to draw, though, between that and like calling it proto-punk. It's like, oh, yeah, that actually, it checks out. It makes sense. It is like that tempo and it is that energy, except there's just maybe no distortion. And
right.
no
and
drum, like the drums are the drums are
Yeah.
like brushy instead of being like
Right.
big hits and stuff. So
Yeah.
that would be cool to see a little punk interpretation of Django. I was reading about this tune and just about Django in general, and apparently Dickie Betts, Allman Brothers player, wrote Jessica as a tribute to Django Reinhardt.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Pretty cool stuff.
All right.
Gives you
With
a whole
the music trivia. That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Gives you
That's
a whole
awesome.
different idea when you listen to it now. Now that you're like, oh shit. Okay, all right. I feel you now. I see where you're going with it, So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Django, the three-fingered god, I can't believe he didn't pick up a butter knife, I guess, is really where my head's at.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what's cool, too. And I actually hadn't really meant to put the 3 injured artists in a row like this. But it is interesting to see how they sort of each handle their disabilities or whatever you call it. I mean, they all kind of... But I think also what's cool about that is Beethoven, right, was deaf, right? I mean, one of the greatest classical composers of all time didn't have the one faculty you think you would need to make music. And I just think that's really cool.
That's why whenever anyone who's like a musician talks about how hard it is to make music, that's the thing you got to drop. You just got to be like, dog, Beethoven was deaf. Anybody can make a fucking song. It's not that hard.
And some of the greatest soul blues players of the 20th century, Ray Charles, couldn't see, and they're just shredding and singing great songs. And Stevie Wonder, I mean, I just think that's
there's
really
a whole
cool
conspiracy about that though. That Stevie
Wonder, yeah, you've seen him catch the thing on stage.
Yeah, I don't want to look. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying.
God bless Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
All right, let's listen to a little bit of Django Reinhardt. Here is After You're Gone.
After you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying. You seem blue, you feel sad, Mr.
Okay, so we've got sort of the tragic figures, I think, all out of the way. Morphine guy died on stage. CeDell Davis played with a butter knife. Blaze Foley got shot in the chest, and Django Reinhardt had no fingers. But starting now, I think we're on to the good news part of this. Maybe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but here, the next song you have is a song by Gene Clark called Some Misunderstanding. Gene Clark, a founding member of the Byrds, and this tune, an 8-minute long song that you put right in the middle of the run. So tell me, what's going on?
Well, I just wanted to give you a speed bump to slow you down a little bit, kind of give you some time to marinate and feel it. Gene Clark, as you said, he's a member of the Byrds. So this record I really love. It's definitely in my top 5. This whole album, front to back. It's called No Other, and he spent an enormous amount of money, probably not his own, probably the record company's money, but I think it was over $100,000 in 1974, which is, I looked it up, adjusted for inflation, over $600,000 in today's money, recording this album. Put all these great musicians on it, all these expensive studio session players. I think Sly Stone came by and I don't know if he worked on it, but was at least putting in his input. Rest in peace, by the way.
R.I.P. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. That's a bar. I love Sly Stone.
$600,000 though.
Yeah, today's money. Spent a bunch of money putting this album together, and it was a complete flop. The record company hated it. I think it peaked at 144 on the charts, so it didn't chart, didn't have any hits from it, at least in its day. And now it's kind of gotten this, I guess, second life with hipster record guys like me that are like, what's good old music? Because it's got, it's all these great ratings and pitch. It's all these 100 greatest album lists and stuff. And I think it's well warranted. But this song in particular is just beautiful to me. I just love it. And it kind of has that like, I don't know, Stairway to Heaven thing where it's like, it's got all these meandering sections and parts and kind of goes all over the place and is incredibly long, but I could listen to a 20-minute version of that song.
I mean, I think that's some of the most beautiful stuff about music is structure. I think like being able to, the forms are half of the fucking song, when people are like, if a song is 8 minutes, that's cool because the artist decided this needs to be 8 minutes. And the flip side is also true. There's a band called Macabre Plaza who I really love. I think it's just one person, but I literally, it's like a ghost band. I don't know anything about them. But their songs pretty much are right about 1 minute long usually. And like, they're all so fucking good. And that's fair too. That's cool. Like, I don't think that there is, that's why I say form, in my opinion, is half of the song in a way. Like, your structures are a really big artistic choice and it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think maybe the closest thing I can think of when you talk about him spending a bunch of money and then maybe it flopping and getting rediscovered could be Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, but I feel like that was a hit like right away. That was just the label misreading what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah, I wasn't dormant quite as long, at least, in the way that no other was. But but that's a lot of fun. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit of this tune, Some Misunderstanding by Gene Clark. Next up, we have a tune called Suspicion by someone called Terry Stafford, who, all the research I did, called him an Elvis Presley sound-alike. How fucking rude.
I know. People are mean to Terry Stafford. I'm not hearing it. I'm upset.
I just think it's funny that like he works throughout his career to make all this music, and then like his legacy is he was an Elvis Presley sound-alike, when in reality Elvis Presley was just like ripping off a shitload. You know what I mean? Ripping off is going to happen. It's what it is.
Yeah, and Terry Stafford did his own thing.
Yeah, Suspicion was recorded by Elvis first, though.
Yes, it was recorded by Elvis first, and actually these two versions were released within months of each other. So Elvis puts out his version of Suspicion, Terry Stafford puts out his version of Suspicion, and Terry Stafford's charts, and Elvis's doesn't. Well, it does, but it doesn't chart as much as Terry Stafford. So Terry Stafford basically beat Elvis, this unknown kind of goofy blonde football player, high school kid, basically beats Elvis at his own game. And what I love about this song is the proto synthesizer. There's this French synth from the 40s called the Ondialine, and it's used in this like kind of cheesy schlocky 60s kind of Vegas sound, but it's I don't know, it adds something to the track that the Elvis version doesn't have. It doesn't have that sort of synth line in it, and in fact this whole record I highly recommend because it's got that synth all over it, and it sounds so cool, and it's used in such an interesting way. And but Terry sounded so much like Elvis, people mistook him for Elvis, and then so people thought that his version of Suspicion was like Elvis given another crack or whatever, but
he charted higher, so the sound-alike out Elvis.
Right, exactly. And then later in Terry's career, he chilled out on the Elvis sounding stuff, and he recorded a lot of like country music, kind of lo-fi country music. I don't know what happened, but a lot of the recordings sound terrible, but I love them. The songwriting's really great. So if you like country music at all, or you like kind of like schlocky 60s jams, pop music, Terry Stafford's definitely somebody to get into. I love Terry Stafford.
I wonder, like, was that maybe a thing of the time when like they were like, hey kid, we need to manicure you to be this Elvis Presley sound-alike because it's the next big thing, and like it's hot, so you should do it. And maybe that wasn't what he wanted. I don't know this guy at all. I'm just saying, like, maybe it was a decision that was pushed by record company or something. You know?
I think that's pretty accurate, just because he only really put out one album's worth of that kind of 60s Elvis-y stuff before he pivoted into making country music. And
Terry
wrote
Stafford,
some hits.
the industry plant, dude. Industry plant,
The
Terry
original
Stafford,
industry
the OG.
plant.
Let's hear him. Let's hear this industry plant, Terry Stafford, with his song Suspicion.
Every time you kiss me, I'm still not certain that you love me. Every time you hold me, I'm still not certain that you care.
The next tune is called Take My Hand, and it's by Hoover. That's what the artist is listed as. However, I believe it's Willis Hoover is who that is. I did a little bit of research because this one was like one of those oddball tracks that seemed to have like, I couldn't find the history of it. I didn't know too much about it. So tell me about Take My Hand by Hoover.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's fun about this too, is that I don't really know much about Hoover either. There's really not much out there, but this is from a compilation. It's called Still Sad by Anthology Records, which I guess is a reissue arm of Mexican Summer, who's like kind of a bigger label. And they kind of what we were talking about at the top of the show, that they go around digging through dusty 45s and put out these compilation albums. And this is another one that kind of feels like the Gene Clark song, where it's got this kind of long, kind of meandering thing, a lot of dynamics in the song. But these records that Anthology puts out of these 70s singer-songwriter folks that you can't really find anything out about, it kind of feels like the Alan Lomax type thing, where they're going out and finding music that's great and that you probably should know about because it's so good, but if they didn't go out and do that footwork, it would be lost forever. And so I definitely, all the records they put out, Anthology, I really love, and this is just sort of, I think, a representative track that it's like, listen to this and it's good, and use that as a segue into some of the other stuff on these albums, because I think there's just great pop stuff on there.
I'm definitely going to look up Anthology after this, because that's the same way I feel about Numero Group. Like, they do that exact same thing, and they've introduced me to like some of the weirdest stuff that I'm like, wait, what? This person put out one song like in Wisconsin in 1973.
And it's great.
Yeah,
you're
it's
like, and they're
incredible.
so good.
Yeah, this guy Willis Hoover, like I said, I don't do that much research. I'm not even gonna front. I go like, it's Wikipedia level. That is where I go. I don't dig super deep. But apparently Willis Hoover wrote the music for a movie called Tick Tick Tick, and he won an ASCAP award for that. And then after his music career, he wrote a book called Picks, which is a history of guitar picks, that was published in 95. So I guess he's a Renaissance man. He can do it all.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
Yeah. Oh, hey, there you go. It's amazing. What a great way to get into the tune. Here is "Take My Hand" by Hoover.
Take my hand, lead me to the promised land. I can see.
This next one, the second to last track, is by a band who might be the biggest band on this list. If you're Canadian, they certainly are. It's a band called the Tragically Hip, and the song is called Bobcaygeon, I believe is how you say that.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about the Tragically Hip, because I will say I hear about them at least once a year, all like about how great they are, and because I'm a big hockey fan, so Canadians work their way into my life somehow, and I've never actually sat and listened to them. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, this is great. So I am Canadian, and there is this, somehow there's a divide, right, across the board. And some bands make it. Obviously, you've got your Rush and your Bieber and your Drake and all. I mean, there are a lot of musicians make it across the border, but somehow.
Rush, Bieber, and Drake, the holy trinity of Canadian music.
What else do you need, really? But yeah, somehow the Tragically Hip, they've been putting out music, I want to say, since the late 70s, early 80s, and a huge discography, and just somehow never really spoke to American audiences. But if you're if you're a Canadian or you're exposed to Canadian people, even like Trailer Park Boys, I think used the Tragically Hip to score some stuff or like featured it in episodes and stuff. And I just think they're an amazing band. And speaking of music documentaries, there was one they put out last year. Gord Downey, their lead singer, died a couple of years ago. I think he had pretty aggressive cancer, but they put out this awesome like 4-part, very lengthy, deep documentary series about the band that kind of goes into some of the reasons maybe they didn't make it in the States, but also just the history of the band. And I think this song's about like a cop who's maybe gay and has like an affair with his like workmate or something, but it's written in like a really beautiful way. It's
about what's his name from Trailer Park Boys, Leahy, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. old drunk trailer park manager.
I've got to that'll be my thing I do this year. I'm gonna listen to the Tragically Hip. Put that as my like mid-year resolution. I will listen to them. I'll listen to a decent chunk of them before December.
Get into the Hip.
Their discography is gigantic, so I can't say I'm going to listen to all of it. But I'll give at least 3 full albums a go.
Yeah, and Spotify, they'll make like, the playlists of the hits or whatever if you kind of want to speed run it and
I mean, look, I'm looking at their chart history right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 full-length albums over the course of like 25 years, 26 years. Of those, only one didn't get in the top 3, and that was their first one in the Canadian like charts. So
where they're famous.
A ton at number 1, a couple at number 2, one at number 3, but it's insane.
And there's some skips, but I will say at least every record has 1 or 2 songs that are, I think, there's bona fide classics and would be right at home on any banging playlist.
Well, I can't wait to get into them. For now, let's listen to a little bit of Bobcaygeon by the Tragically Hip.
Left your house this morning at 9:15. Could have been the Willie Nelson.
And then the final tune is, what a fitting tune, Just a Song Before I Go by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You sequenced this one. This is nice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
tell me a bit. Yeah, tell me a bit about why this tune.
Well, as you said, it's just a great way to end a playlist or a tape. But I just have a beautiful memory with this song, and I think a lot of especially musically inclined folks are like this, where like I couldn't tell you what I ate for breakfast yesterday, but I can tell you where I was the first time I heard like certain awesome songs, And this is one of those. I was in a U-Haul van, and you can't. You have to listen to the radio. There's no other options. And I was in my early 20s and moving to California, and full of hope and optimism and all that. And this song came on the radio, and I had never heard it before. And it's unlike some of the other songs on this list, incredibly short. I think it's like maybe two minutes and a few seconds. But I just like, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, known for their awesome harmonies, and this song doesn't disappoint. You got amazing guitar playing on this. I could listen to it over and over again. I did look up a fun fact about this. Apparently it was written in under an hour, after a friend jokingly said to Graham Nash, try to write a song before you head to the airport. But it's beautiful. I mean, again, like sort of the opposite side of like very low effort from the Gene Clark thing, just slap something together. But I think it's a beautiful song. I think it's very poetic. I think it's a fantastic track.
It's such a good like statement, I guess, about making music. It doesn't matter if it takes you 5 minutes or 5 years to make it. Like the songs have the same value. They're just songs, and that value is really high to some people and really low to some people. It's just music. Like there's nothing really that crazy about it. It's a beautiful song. And let's listen to a little bit of it. Here is
Amen.
Just a Song Before I Go by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
over, we had to get back home. And when we opened up the door, I had to be alone.
So there you go, Justin. That is your mixtape. It was beautiful stuff. A lot of tragedy with the injured artists. A lot of Canadian things with the Tragically Hip, I guess. I don't know. I appreciate it. I thought it was a really great one. And you mentioned with that Crosby, Stills, and Nash song, having like remembering where you were. And I remember when I was driving to California, I had a similar thing. It was with the song by a band called Broken Social Scene. They have a song called, fittingly titled for me at the time, Pacific Theme. And I remember being on the 10 and just cresting past Riverside and being able to see LA in the distance, and Pacific Theme came on, and I was like, that's sick. So
yeah, and it sticks with, and now every time you hear that song, it takes you back to that U-Haul, you know.
I'm getting goosebumps right now. Right now, man. Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play a quick game, and then we will be out of here. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and we like to end every show with a little game. Last episode, I believe we did like a dream band type thing. Well, this episode, we're playing a game called Build the Bill. In this game, you've got $15 to build the perfect bill, and we've got a roster of artists that are in different tiers. We have a $5 tier, $4 tier, $3 tier, $2, and $1, and you got $15. All of these artists, what is in common about them is sort of the bummer jam idea in a way. So
I could tell. Yeah, this is good.
So for the people watching, obviously you can see the graphic, but for the people who are listening, let's run through these real quick. The $5 tier includes Tom Waits, Nick Drake, Townes Van Zandt, Captain Beefheart, and The Band. $4 tier includes Lucinda Williams, Silver Jews, Bonnie Prince Billy, Leonard Cohen, and J.J. Cale. $3 tier includes Kings of Convenience, Vic Chestnut, M. Ward, Blaze Foley, and Karen Dalton. $2 tier includes Iron and Wine, Magnolia Electric Co., Michael Hurley, Damian Gerardo, and Calexico. Is it Gerardo or Gerardo? I've always said Gerardo.
I thought it was Gerardo, yeah.
Yeah, so in the $1 tier, Devendra Banhart, Smog, Damian Rice, Clem Snide, and Hiss Golden Messenger. So, Justin, you've got $15 to build the perfect bill. You can spend the money however you want. You can take one from each tier, or you can take $3, $5, whatever you want to do. So walk us through your process. What are you thinking?
I mean, I'm a huge Tom Waits fan, and maybe you got me pegged here with he likes bummer jams, but yeah, I love Tom Waits. I feel like I gotta, but then I'm like, oh, Townes Van Zandt's here too, so now I'm like $10 in, and I'm just on the first row. This is tough. Yeah.
But the thing is, you can give them super long sets this way, so it could be pretty cool.
That's true. Yeah, it'd be a lengthy evening with Tom Waits and Townes Van Zandt, and we're digging up some people apparently here too.
Yes,
that's cool.
100%.
Okay, good. Yeah, Tom Waits is great. Small plug, he's got an album called Nighthawks at the Diner that's great. It was like recorded in a studio, but they brought a bunch of tables and chairs and stuff into the studio, so it sounds, you have all this clinking and stuff going. It sounds live, but it was very much in the studio. Cool record.
You know what's funny? My friend Kevin, friend of the show, he told me about that album before, and I don't even really like Tom Waits like that. Sorry, yeah. Tom Waits fans.
He's divisive. Yeah.
I respect that, though, and I love that idea. And I was like, damn, I want to rip this off one day. Like, one day I want to do the same concept, straight up.
Yeah, just bring a restaurant into a recording studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to do, I think I got this. I got it. I'm going to spend $5 on Tom Waits. I'm going to do another $5 on Townes Van Zandt. I really love the band, but I think I'm going to, because then I can't have anyone else if I do all the 5 guys. So I'm gonna sorry the band. I'm gonna leave you to the side here. I saw Blaze Foley. To see Blaze and Townes on the same bill, we're gonna put Blaze in there too. That's just great. And then with my remaining $2, Magnolia Electric Company. Big. I mean, if you're a bummer jams guy, you gotta spin that.
Jason Molina, the patron saint of bummer jams. That's
yeah,
one thing
Songs Ohio was like my thing as a teen. I mean,
yeah.
I'm still listening to Songs Ohio.
One thing I've noticed recently is that's that kind of Jason Molina core aesthetic is making it's like so big right now in like underground and indie music. Like everybody is trying to sing just like him, and it's like it's really crazy. I mean, yeah, with that's great that they're trying that because he was a genius. So it's really cool. My bill. Okay, so I love a deal. I'm a deals guy, and I think the best deal of all of this is Smog at the $1 tier. $1 for Smog is fucking insane.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta go Smog. So I'll take that one. I haven't listened to Damien Jurado in a long time, but I like Damien Jurado, so I'm gonna go Damien Jurado as well, out of the $2 tier.
Nice.
$3 tier, I loved Kings of Convenience growing up, so I gotta go with them. $4 tier is where things get tricky because I kind of like 3 of the artists in this a lot. I'm going to take Silver Jews. That is 100% a guarantee. And that leaves me with $5 to spend. Out of these $5, I think I'm going to go... I'm going Captain Beefheart. It's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna be a fun night full of weird music, but
it's a party.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Because the other part of me was like, should I take Bonnie Prince Billy and then keep $1 or something like that? But no, Captain Beefheart. I can't not do that.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I hope you had a good time. Why don't you let the people know where they can find you and what they can do to keep up with Hope You Like It?
Definitely. We have a website, hopeyoulikeit.org. I post all the episodes there, and then if you're a YouTube person, I think you can just find Hope You Like It. I don't remember what the handle is, but if you just search Hope You Like It, Music Doc or something, you should be able to find it there. And yeah, all the episodes are there. And if you go to film festivals with any frequency, you might catch it at a film festival. They're all entered into some film festivals, so they usually play locally here in LA. But yeah, and of course, if anyone has musicians that kind of fit the description of what I've laid out here, kind of older folks that maybe deserve their flowers and haven't gotten them yet and might be interested in doing a documentary, definitely reach out. I'm always looking for new interesting artists to help expose the world to.
Hell yeah. And then I'll have to dig around in Virginia, see if we can find anyone over here, you know. I know you went to West Virginia. Let's take you to East Virginia.
I'd love it. Yeah.
Listeners, you're already this far in, so you know what this is. But somehow, if you're here and you don't, tapeclub.substack.com. That is the Rue Defense Tape Club. It is a club that you can join, and if you want to pay and be a paid subscriber, it's $5 a month. You'll get at least one quarterly compilation cassette tape mailed to you. If we can make the money work, we'll send more. We'll try to send as many as we can. But it is all an out-of-pocket thing that we're doing just for the joy of it, right? This is like our little art project. So if you want to support us, you can support us at tapeclub.substack.com. There's also newsletters that go with it. There's also this podcast, obviously. Thank you, listeners, for listening. And Justin, thank you so much for being on the show. I will catch you guys next week. See ya. The J-Card podcast is a fully independent production. It is made possible by listeners and viewers just like you. So if you want to support us, tapeclub.substack.com is the place to go.